proceed to, well, just go outside to the mock training area. As this is when they would basically all just meet President Mike outside. And, well, Deku would then look at Ida, as Ida would proceed to walk over towards his direction. He would then put his hand over Deku's shoulder and tell him that that wasn't very nice what he did back there. Deku would look at Ida and say, yeah, then you think that calling me out was? Ida would then look towards Deku as he would push his glasses up, and he would then say that that may not have been the perfect approach. However, he was a distraction to the people around him. And Deku would then look at Ida as he would say, and how many other people said I was? As Ida would say that many of them most likely didn't want to bother him. And Deku would say, alright then, so why should you? As Ida would look at Deku, he would kind of stay silent, and Deku would look at him as he would say, listen, say that again, and I'm gonna bust your teeth in. As he would proceed to walk away, however, Ida would grab Deku by the hand and tell him how dare he. As Deku would quite literally elbow him right in the jaw, breaking so many teeth in Ida's mouth. And Deku, at that point that he did that, the gate would basically open. As President Mike would say, go, 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 there's no countdowns in a real battle. Deku would rush in and just start obliterating robots after robots, destroying everything that's within Deku's path. There was nothing that was safe, not people, not robots, nothing. Deku is quite literal menace to society. And Deku would go on an absolute rampage, to which Deku would end up racking up about 12,000 points, destroying every previous record that has ever been held in the history of UA's, well, time being open as a school. That being said, this is when Deku would basically proceed to see the 0 point. The 0 pointer would of course be released just like it was in canon, and this is when everybody from all directions would start running away from that area immediately. Deku would lift his head up after destroying his 12,000th robot, and this is when Deku would see the giant monstrosity before him. Deku would see it as he would smile and say, finally, a worthy opponent. As Deku's aura would start to shine a giant, like a giant purplish black aura. Deku would look at it as he would smile, and he would form a grin as he would rush at the 0 pointer, and he would see Uraraka, who was about to get stepped on. However, right as the 0 pointer was about to, Deku would stand before the foot of the 0 pointer and Uraraka, and he would grab the foot as he would push the 0 pointer back so hard the 0 pointer quite literally fell right on its cheeks. Like, it fell right on the cheeks of the 0 pointer. As it's at this point, Uraraka would look up at Deku and say, what? This is when Deku was just, his strength would just be off the charts. And Deku would just breathe in as he would say, this feels amazing. Uraraka would look at Deku and immediately say, can you help? And Deku would look at her as he would say, help yourself. As he would throw the rubble off her, Uraraka would then crawl away, and Deku would then get out of the school immediately. As Deku would just run away and say what a thrill that was. As he would just be happy. This man Deku would just be excited. And to this point, the Deku would basically proceed to go home, and this when he would arrive, he would finally see a note which is on the fridge. And this is when Deku would see a note which actually says that she left his food in the fridge for once she gets back, and good luck. Deku would see the note and immediately smile as he would say, always working, aren't you? As to this point that he would basically grab his food out the fridge, heat it up in the microwave, and basically just eat up for the day. As Deku would say that, well, I mean, if his mom's going to be working on day, he might as well have the house clean for her when she comes back. As Deku would start cleaning up the house for the next 3 hours, he would then pass out, and his Inko would finally arrive a couple of hours later, exhausted from work, with the food actually being ready for her. It's still hot, actually. The thing is, Deku had barely just passed out, and he had just barely finished whipping up some good delicious food for his mom. She would eat up and then pass out, and the very next day, his acceptance letter to UA would of course arrive. Deku would be told that he ended up getting into UA, and that he displayed remarkable talent after destroying 1,200 robots? No, 12,000. I said 1,000? 12,000 robots. Deku showed remarkable marks in terms of the physical portion of the exam, and All Might just immediately tells Deku that, yeah, that's insane. Like, the man's GOAT. That being said, this is when Deku would basically decide that, well, he might as well go and, well, just kind of start working out. Deku would start working out when he would realize that he kind of is short on some essentials such as underwear and socks, some shorts and shirts, and Deku would decide that he's going to go out to the mall for a little bit of shopping. Deku at this point would go from store to store and he would get his essentials. As it's at this point that Deku would finally be done with the shopping, he would be a little hungry, so he would decide to go to the food court, and he would actually end up just buying himself a little Subway or something like that, right? This is when there's a big group of kids, about 20 plus. Deku would be sitting down, just eating his food, watching a YouTube video. He'd be watching Zedder's new video, and he's just like, huh? Zedder posted, what if Deku had the Speed Force? Check it out, link in description? What? That's crazy. And Deku would just basically be like, wow, that's my favorite YouTuber. Like, that's crazy. Deku would then basically look at his phone as he would just start scrolling through the comments and see that there's a little pinned comment that says, taking attendance. He would report his attendance and say that this man is just great and that, you know, that there's amazing. You know, he's handsome, he's cute, you know, he brings you guys the best content on YouTube. But nah, I'm totally kidding though. But seriously though, you know, I'm done with self-plugging. But anyways, Deku would basically just be sitting there scrolling through Instagram, right, until the kids would basically start throwing popcorn at Deku. They would have just came out from watching a movie, Black Widow, and they would just start throwing popcorn, little pieces at Deku. They would throw kernels at him. Deku would not let this slide. As soon as the first one hits him, Deku would stand up and say, alright, which one of you little Fs did this? As they would all just kind of be like, and what are you going to do even if one of us speaks out? There's 20 of us and one of you. Deku would look at them as they would say, dude, there's a lot of things I can do you don't want to find out. And one of the kids would stand up and he would say, it was me. Deku would look at the guy and he would then basically say, oh, well, at least you're owning up to it, you big freaking, you know, P-U-S-S-Y. The kid would look at him and just be like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Because Deku would look at him and say, oh, you want to know what I'm going to do about it? Deku would start growing in size and mass immediately. As Deku's eyes will turn a sort of pinkish, purplish aura with black in it, and Deku will then blitz the kid as he would punch him square in the jaw, breaking it completely. As the other kids would then stand up and all of them would power up their quirks. As they would start rushing at Deku, Deku would basically modder a fourth Shinobi Alliance their asses, and he would put them on the ground before they even realized what hit them. That being said, this is when Deku would basically get into a pretty giant mall fight, and a bunch of other people would then start fighting as well. As this is when a pro hero would come by. This hero being All Might, who was just so happened to be passing by the neighborhood. That being said, this is when Deku would basically get caught off guard by All Might, who comes up from behind him and punches him at the back of the head. As Deku would get knocked out, Deku would wake up, as he would actually wake up in an office. Deku would try to move, however, he was restrained, and this is when a chair would turn around in front of him. This person being Nezu. This is when Deku would say, who the hell are you? As Nezu would look at him and say, ah, Midoriya. Been meaning to have you wake up for quite some time now. And he would say, would you like some tea? Deku would look at Nezu as he would say, no, I don't want some tea. I want you to get me out of here. As Nezu would just look at him and be like, I'm afraid I can't do that. This is when he would begin to explain to Deku that under normal circumstances, he would immediately be thrown in jail. However, he destroyed 12,000 robots in the robot portion of the exam. And there is no way they're just going to let some talent like that rot in jail for the rest of his life. So this is when Nezu would look at Deku and say, alright, look, here's the deal. You need to be in this school. Because if somebody doesn't put you down the right path, you might end up going astray and becoming a villain or something like that. And we cannot have that as a hero. So we will be helping revoke the charges that were put against you by the families of the kids. And we will